The storm rolled across the night sky like a beast that had just been awakened, swallowing the horizon in layers of thunder and restless wind. Liam Carter had seen storms before. He'd worked as a rescue diver for 8 years, been in waters that tore ships apart and dragged men under, but something about this night felt different, charged, as if the world was holding its breath. He was driving home from the late shift at the marina, headlights slicing through the rain, one hand on the wheel, the other resting on the backpack full of snacks, homework sheets, and a small red toy car that belonged to his 8-year-old son, Noah. The kid had fallen asleep waiting for him earlier, probably curled up on the old couch with the TV playing cartoons too loud. Liam smiled at the thought. No matter how hard the days got, that was the part that made everything worth it. He was halfway down the coastal road when he saw it, at first just a strange glow in the sky, like lightning but not shaped like lightning. It moved, it burned, it fell. A jet, a real, private passenger jet, trailing fire and broken metal, cutting through the clouds like a wounded bird. It was heading toward the ocean, lowering fast, screaming against gravity. Liam didn't think. He didn't call for help, didn't wait, didn't question. He pulled hard on the wheel, skidding his truck onto the gravel shoulder, grabbed the emergency gear he always kept in the back, rope, flashlight, first aid kit, and a diving knife, and sprinted toward the rocky coastline just as the jet slammed into the water with an explosion of black smoke and white foam. The sound echoed through his bones. He dove into the freezing sea before the debris even settled. The waves were chaos, churning with fuel and metal, smelling of fire and salt. He pushed deeper, lungs burning, searching through torn seats and tangled wires until he found movement. Someone trapped in the cockpit, slumped forward, bleeding, unconscious but breathing. The water was rising inside the jet, dragging the man down. Liam smashed the glass with the butt of his knife, cut through the seatbelt, and pulled the stranger out as the jet groaned like a sinking whale. The current tried to steal them both, but Liam kicked hard, dragging the man toward the surface, feeling the weight of him, the dead weight of someone who couldn't help himself. They broke through the waves just in time. By the time Liam hauled the man onto the rocks, the jet had already vanished beneath the storm-black water. The stranger coughed, choked on seawater, gasped like a newborn dragged into painful life. Liam wrapped him in a blanket, checked his pulse, stabilized his neck the way he had done 100 times in the past, and waited with him until the ambulance arrived. It wasn't until the red and blue lights began reflecting off the metal watch on the stranger's wrist that Liam saw the name engraved behind the blood and saltwater, A. Hayes. And then he noticed the face, the jawline he had seen on countless magazines at grocery stores, the man who had been interviewed about business empires and global expansion. The man he had just pulled from a sinking jet was Alexander Hayes, billionaire CEO of Hayes Industries, a man whose decisions probably changed more lives in one day than Liam had in his entire career. But by the next morning, nothing in Liam's life had changed. There were no reporters, no cameras, no spotlight, no fame, just the same small rented house, the same unpaid electricity bill taped to the fridge, the same peanut butter sandwiches for Noah's school lunch. Liam didn't expect anything. He wasn't trying to be a hero. Heroes weren't real. They were just people who made a choice in a moment where most others froze. And that night, he made pancakes the same way he always did, flipping them with one hand while helping Noah with his math homework with the other. His phone didn't ring. No one asked for an interview. No headlines said, "Single dad saves billionaire." It was just life. Quiet, simple, ordinary. Until the knock on the door came. Not a timid knock, a firm one. The kind that said someone on the other side wasn't used to being ignored. Noah opened it first, thinking it was the mailman. Liam heard him gasp, and when he turned, he saw through the doorway what no one in his neighborhood had ever seen. 3 black Cadillacs parked in a perfect line, polished so clean they reflected the cloudy sky. Men in dark suits stepped out, not threatening, just powerful in a way that didn't need weapons. One of them looked at Liam as if confirming an identity and said, "Mr. Carter, Mr. Hayes requests your presence." For a moment, Liam thought it was a scam. Then a familiar figure stepped out of the third car, alive, bandaged, walking with a cane, but very much breathing. Alexander Hayes. The same man he had dragged from the ocean. He didn't shake Liam's hand. He wrapped him in a hug. A hug. A billionaire hugging a man in a t-shirt stained with syrup and dishwater. "You didn't just save my life," Hayes said, his voice low and still rough from the water. "You saved my second chance." Liam didn't know what to say. He wasn't used to being looked at like that, like he mattered beyond a duty he had once been trained for. Noah stood behind him, holding onto his shirt, eyes wide. Hayes knelt and looked at the boy like he was important too. "Your dad is a real-life superhero," he said gently. "Don't ever forget that." Then came the moment that turned the world on its axis. Hayes didn't offer money. He didn't hand Liam a check or a medal or a thank you card. He offered him a life. A real one. "I want you on my emergency response team," Hayes said. "Full benefits. A salary that matches your worth. A home with a fenced yard for your son. Medical coverage. College fund. Everything you should have had long before you pulled me out of the ocean." Liam stared at him, stunned. "Why me?" he asked. Hayes smiled. Not the polished CEO smile, but the raw one of a man who nearly died and saw the truth in that moment. "Because when everyone else would have waited for help, you jumped. That's the kind of man I want beside me." Liam wasn't someone who took charity, and this didn't feel like charity. It felt like respect, like someone finally saw the years he had given, the sacrifices, the long nights, the quiet struggles no one applauded. But he still hesitated. Not for himself, but for Noah. His son was his world. He wouldn't move him into something unstable or temporary or built on ego. Hayes seemed to read that doubt instantly. "I'm not asking you to owe me," he said. "I'm asking to repay what I already owe you." The offer hung there, heavy, real, life-changing. Noah tugged on Liam's shirt and whispered, "Dad, does this mean I can have my own room?" That was the moment Liam felt something break inside him. Not in a painful way, but in the way walls fall when someone finally knocks them down gently. He didn't answer right away. He took the night, put Noah to bed, sat on the back porch with a cup of coffee, staring at the ocean where the wreck had vanished. He remembered the weight of Hayes's body in the water, the cold fear that he might not get him out in time, the feeling that it could have been him, or anyone, or the father of a child just like Noah. He didn't know saving one life would change both of theirs. Some people spend their whole lives waiting for a moment like that, one that rewrites everything. Liam hadn't been waiting. He had just been living. But fate didn't care about timing. It cared about readiness. The next morning, when the sun cut through the clouds and the storm was gone, Liam Carter wasn't just a single dad struggling to make ends meet. He was a man a billionaire trusted with his life. And as he packed Noah's backpack for school, he realized something quietly, profoundly true. Sometimes the greatest rescue isn't the one you perform. It's the one given back to you when you least expect it. And the story, he knew, wasn't over. It was just beginning.